Hello, everyone, and welcome to Financial Podcast. I'm your host, Olivia, and today we're diving deep into a topic that, while perhaps not always on the front page, is absolutely critical to the global economy and power dynamics: rare earth elements. These materials, often misunderstood, are at the heart of an escalating trade dispute, primarily between China and the United States, and their scarcity, or rather the control over their supply, is reshaping industries worldwide. First, let's clarify what we mean by rare earths. Despite their name, these 17 chemical elements aren't actually that rare in the Earth's crust. Elements like neodymium, dysprosium, yttrium, and gadolinium are found globally, but they are difficult and costly to mine, extract, and process because they are not highly concentrated and are often associated with radioactive substances. Their extraction is energy intensive and can be environmentally damaging, making them strategic resources. The exceptional magnetic, luminescent, and catalytic properties of rare earths make them indispensable in manufacturing a vast array of high-tech products. Think about your smartphone, your laptop, or your headphones. They all contain super strong rare earth magnets, but their importance extends far beyond consumer electronics. They are essential components in electric vehicles, wind turbines, flat-screen TVs, lasers, and even advanced military equipment like F-35 fighter jets, submarines, missiles, and satellites. Without rare earth magnets, an electric car's motor or an advanced radar system simply cannot function. As one expert put it, everything you can switch on or off likely runs on rare earths. Now, let's talk about China's undisputed dominance in this critical sector. For decades, China has strategically built up near total control over the rare earth supply chain. As of today, China produces around 70% of the world's rare earths, holding the largest reserves globally. More significantly, China controls over 80% of the global processing capacity for these minerals, a crucial step that transforms raw materials into industrially usable forms. Western countries, including the United States, largely opted out of this segment of the industry in previous decades, deterred by environmental and health costs and drawn by China's lower prices. This has led to a situation where the majority of technology companies in the West are directly dependent on Chinese exports. Even the rare earths mined in the U.S., such as those from the Mountain Pass mine in California, often had to be sent to China for processing until recently, as China had developed unique logistics and unparalleled know-how in refining these materials. This overwhelming control gives China significant geopolitical leverage. In a reflection of its ability to quickly leverage its dominance, China recently imposed curbs on rare earth exports, which are clearly reflected in recent trade data. The value of rare earth elements exported by China last month, in May, plummeted by nearly half compared to a year prior, marking a 48.3% yearly drop to US $18.7 million. This also represented a 13.7% monthly decline from April. In terms of weight, 5,864.6 tons were shipped in May, a year-on-year decline of 5.67%. However, it's worth noting that while the value and year-on-year weight declined, China's overall rare earth exports actually jumped by 23% in volume in May compared to April. And the cumulative amount of exported rare earths in the first 5 months of the year stood 2.3% higher than the same period last year. This suggests that while China is strategically curbing high-value exports like magnets, where shipments halved in April, they might be allowing other rare earth exports, potentially at lower prices or for different applications, to continue. These new Chinese restrictions, effective from April 4, specifically require special export licenses for 7 critical rare earth elements and their related magnetic products. These include dysprosium, gadolinium, scandium, terbium, samarium, yttrium, and lutetium. The impact of these curbs has been swift and severe, particularly for the automotive industry and manufacturers of white goods and high-tech components globally.
Major car manufacturers and industry groups have sounded the alarm, warning of potential production delays and even outages as their stockpiles of these crucial magnets dwindle. For China, the impact on its domestic economy is considered negligible, as most of these materials are consumed at home, while the impact on the West is enormous. Beijing has essentially weaponized these materials in response to escalating trade tensions and tariffs imposed by the U.S. President Donald Trump administration. In response to this wake-up call, as India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal described it, many countries are actively seeking to build alternative supply chains and reduce their reliance on China. The United States has been trying to diversify its supplies, looking to countries like Australia, Brazil, and South Africa, which have significant untapped reserves. President Donald Trump has been vocal about this issue, even referencing a rare earth deal with Ukraine, which possesses critical mineral reserves, and showing interest in Greenland's resources. The U.S. Department of Defense has also been quietly working to secure its own supply chain for military applications, where price is not the primary concern. However, for the civilian market, which is exquisitely price sensitive, rebuilding a complete mine-to-magnet chain from scratch is a formidable challenge, estimated to take 10 to 15 years, far longer than the typical investor's demand for a return.
One of the core issues for the West is not a lack of technological capability, but rather a lack of industrial capacity. We know how to mine, separate, and alloy rare earths, and how to press them into permanent magnets. What is missing is the immense industrial muscle to meet demand at a competitive price. For example, China's factories can produce roughly 400,000 metric tons of rare earth permanent magnets every year, dominating the field, whereas North America currently has no such vertically integrated giants. A major hurdle is the lack of precise data on civilian market demand. Officials and analysts often struggle to quantify the tonnage of magnets imported in finished components like electric motors or washing machine parts. Without these hard numbers, any efforts to build new plants risk becoming white elephants, too small to compete with China's giants and too expensive to survive on boutique orders. In the ongoing trade talks, U.S. President Donald Trump's administration has continued to engage with China, with rare earths topping the agenda. There have been some tentative signs of easing, with China's Ministry of Commerce stating that it has started approving some export license applications and is willing to establish a green channel for eligible applications to expedite the approval process for European Union firms, and has also granted licenses for suppliers for major U.S. auto giants like General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis. However, despite these gestures, the process is still viewed as slow and bureaucratic by some, and trade experts believe China will likely continue to wield these restrictions as leverage against U.S. technology and trade curbs. For China, export controls on dual-use items like rare earths are considered a standard practice to safeguard national security and interests, especially given their use in both military and civilian applications. The long-term outlook highlights a global race to secure these vital resources. This conflict over rare earths is far more than a simple commercial dispute. It reflects a profound shift towards a geoeconomy where critical raw materials are levers of power. The West is accelerating efforts to develop domestic industries and diversify supply chains, but this will take years. Meanwhile, the dependence on Chinese exports will continue to weigh heavily on industries worldwide. The weaponization of critical minerals and the scramble by other nations to find alternatives is expected to be a defining feature of a fractured global economy. Thank you for tuning in to Financial Podcast. I hope today's discussion has provided some valuable insights into the complex world of rare earths and their profound impact on global finance and geopolitics. Join us next time as we continue to explore the economic forces shaping our world. Goodbye for now.